Let's go to Great America co-chair Eric Beach, former Clinton campaign strategic communications director Adrienne Elrod. Welcome to both of you. All right, so let's get a sense, Eric, where you think this is going. That the more time we have to digest this, the more both sides are going to start picking it apart, and the more likely the no votes will build. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's probably true, but at the end of the day, Mitch McConnell has a job to do, and this is part of the process. I mean, the one thing I think that Rand Paul said very well is if we can't get consensus of a good conservative alternative to Obamacare, we all can agree on, at least on the Republican side, and I probably think that on the Democratic side, is that we can agree that we need to repeal Obamacare, and it's a failing effort. It's a failing government program that overtook 1/6 of our economy. So I think that we need to go back on offense and ask some of these senators that are in some of these swing states in 2018, do you really want to, chance your reelection on, maintaining Obamacare and the status quo? Right now, we're on defense. I think we need to go on offense. I think the president has led on this effort. I think he has now pushed it through and helped push it through to get to the Senate. The Senate needs to act. But what we do want is we want a serious conservative alternative to this Obamacare failure.
Adrienne, I'm sure you might slightly disagree with the view that it's a total disaster and all that. But having said that, do you think now, since Republicans technically with this measure have not really repealed Obamacare, in fact, they've kept a couple of key taxes in place, they've secured Medicaid funding actually much more generous than the House version, that there might be room for Democratic help on a measure here?
Look, I think that's really coming down to the only option that Mitch McConnell has here is to come to the table, work with Chuck Schumer, work with Democrats, and actually try to fix Obamacare as opposed to trying to repeal it. I mean, the votes are not going to be there for no Democrat is going to come forward and say, oh, I want to repeal Obamacare. Well, they're not repealing it.
I see no step in that direction. They might, and I understand what Eric is saying. I don't see any effort to repeal. So do you think that since they're keeping so much of it in place, it's just a slightly less omnibus government program, that there is room to work with Democrats?
I think there's room to work with Democrats, but not in the bill in its current form. And the reason why Republicans, of course, are having such a hard time on this is because they've got a very moderate faction of the party who Mitch McConnell is trying to bring into the fold, and also a very conservative faction of the party. I think this entire process needs to be scrapped. I think the resistance is working. People are hearing from their constituents who want to see Obamacare fixed. And by the way, so do a lot of Democrats. We're willing to work with Republicans on that. But we do not want to see the bill that the Senate is putting forward in its current form.
Eric, is there a point at which you say no mas? In other words, Republicans are far more unified on some of the tax cuts, not all of them, by the way, than they are on this, that you shelve this, you say, all right, we'll fight it another day. Logic would prevail that you would think, given the majorities, you'd cobble together something, but that's not happened. It still might, to your earlier point. But if it's not looking likely, move on to those tax cuts with which you find much broader agreement.
That's right. I mean, if the president wanted to be politically expedient, he could have just let Obamacare fail. I mean, 99 counties inside of Iowa aren't even going to be covered. So, Adrienne said earlier that, oh, okay, well, the Democrats, they don't want to see this bill in form. I haven't seen any alternative solutions or even Democrats. They have been the resistant party. So I think, once again, go to offense, talk a little bit about, 2018. If the Democrats want to run again on Obamacare all around the country.
No, but I'm asking you, if Republicans can't get their act together on this, the numbers are so close. You're quite right. Just give up. It's not happening. Just move on to the tax cuts.
Yeah, I think there's a part of a reform agenda. I don't maintain that the president ran on only repeal and replace. Go on to immigration reform, building a wall, go to tax policy and tax reform, get onto the Trump coalition agenda that he ran on, and I think you'll see Republicans have to follow that.
Adrienne, your thoughts?
Look, I'm going to say this. I mean, it is amazing to me that Republicans literally ran on repealing Obamacare for the last 8 years. They knew that they were going to have conservatives and moderates who are not going to be able to come to agreement on certain parts of the plan to move forward on this, and they still can't get anything done. They've got a full control of the House, the Senate, and the White House. The fact that they have literally been running on this, they have people who voted for them because they promised this. I mean, it's amazing to me that they cannot get this done.
All right, we'll see what happens, guys. Eric and Adrienne, thank you both very, very much.